Newsreel news from France includes this edition of the strength of the Canadian punch delivered in the direction of Falaise. Great strength was needed. For the sector, the enemy had remained in their strongest force of the whole front. The United Kingdom and Canadian troops had been battering the hinge, and now the Canadian push down the road to Falaise was the northern arm of the stranglehold being brought to bear on the German 7th Army. The southern arm was being rapidly placed in position by the Americans' wide outflanking sweep. Latest pictures show them in Laval on the Mayenne River. As we know, they drove on from here after dealing with any opposition encountered, on to Le Mans, and then turned north to Argenton. Only some 30 miles then lay between the encircling armies. It looked as if the Hun was leaving it too late to get out when news came that he was moving east from the Mortain salient. The Battle of France was moving rapidly to a climax, and in brilliant weather the great air forces of the Allies went in to speed the kill. Rocket-firing Typhoons, surely one of the best of all B weapons produced by either side, had already done terrific execution. They'd smashed the Huns' counterattack at Mortain, and now they were again reaping a harvest of success, destroying enemy armor and other vehicles, whether on the open road or in concealed positions, smashing troop concentrations, generally making the Hun wish he'd never been born. But Typhoons were one item on the Allies' air program. The heavies and mediums were out in their thousands. Thunderbolts, among other fighters, were at work far and wide over France. Targets were everywhere. The remnant of the Luftwaffe was being smashed in the air and more often on the ground. Troop carriers, trains, communications of all kinds were being shot up. In 1940, the Hun had it almost all his own way in France. Now he's getting it back plus colossal interest. And with new landings in the south, the end is drawing near.
Four years ago, the Germans marched into Paris on their triumphant career of destruction and conquest. Paris succumbed to the might which had proved overwhelming in its use of the ruthless methods of modern warfare. The Germans employed all those same methods to keep France permanently subdued, including hunger. They thought they had succeeded, but how they have failed. What will Paris be like after her liberation? First, let's think of Paris as she was, a city of happiness, of youthful happiness. Paris was the gay city of Europe, a magnet for the pleasure seekers of the world. But what the armies of liberation are restoring is the Paris of the French people. Our scenes are chosen from the Paris which the Parisian knew. Bathing in the Seine, the cafes on the pavements, the crowds in the boulevards, the festivals in the streets. The famous illuminations by night, dancing in back streets of St. Catherine's Day. Just before the war, Paris received and feted our King and Queen, The city put on a show in its most classic tradition. The citizens of the Republic, from the President downwards, rejoiced to do honour to King George and Queen Elizabeth, who was greatly admired. This was the old Paris, the Paris of the Bourbons, the Napoleons and the Third Republic. Paris at the height of her traditional and lavish hospitality. In those remote, fantastic days before September 1939, how secure the foundations of French power appeared to be. The influence of Clemenceau seemed to brood over the country. Perhaps it failed, but instead we have seen the spirit of Joan of Arc revive. There is a song which the boys are singing and whistling as they march along the roads that lead to Paris and beyond.
Happy day, France will ring with the Marseillaise. All's well, mademoiselle. We're on our way to dear old gay Paris. All's well, mademoiselle. We've started off from Normandy, it won't be long till victory. Hearts will sing that happy day. France will ring with the Marseillaise. All's well. Dance again, love and romance again, vive la France again, mademoiselle.
All is well, mademoiselle. The Boche is on his way out, and Frenchmen return to their own.